Good evening aspirants, welcome to daily newspaper analysis brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy. Today's date is 1st of February 2025. So these are the articles we are going to discuss in this newspaper analysis video. The first article is about FDA approving a non-opioid painkiller. So recently the US FDA, Food and Drug Administration, has approved a non-opioid painkiller, and in this article discussion we are going to discuss about the basics of what is opioid painkiller, what is non-opioid painkiller, what is the drug approval process in India. So this article is taken from Indian Express newspaper. The second article is about India facing excessive financialization. So the recent economic survey of 2025 has highlighted that India is facing excessive financialization and many threats are awaiting for it. So we have to be alerted about the financialization. So this is what discussed in the Indian Express news article. Then the third article is about India's tiger population. India tiger population recently increased to 30% in the last 20 years, and this is what discussed in this news article. We are going to discuss about the increase in tiger population, what are the reasons for increasing tiger population, what are the challenges in it, and what are the legislative framework for wildlife conservation in India. So this is what we are going to discuss in this news article discussion. Study finds microplastic in cities groundwater. So this article is taken from Hindu newspaper. In this newspaper article, we are going to discuss about the basics of microplastics, what are the impacts of microplastic, the sources of microplastic. Recently, the study finds that microplastic is found in Yamuna river and also in Delhi's groundwater. So this is what we are going to discuss in this newspaper article discussion. So this article is taken from Hindu newspaper. So these are the 4 important articles we are going to discuss in this video. Now let us get into the discussion. Now look at this article. The article says that the India's tiger population have been increased to 30% in the last 20 years. So this study was published in Science journal by Indian scientists. So there was an increase in tiger population for past 2 decades due to scientific conservation and land use planning. So this has led to increased tiger population, and tigers have been living with people for many centuries in India. More than 15% of tiger population are living among the 66 million people in India. So these are the things which are discussed in this news article. In this context, let us discuss the important findings of this study and also about the legal framework for wildlife conservation in India. So as mentioned in the news article, there was 30% increase in tiger population in the past 20 years. So this study was published in Science journal. This success in tiger population increase is due to the scientific conservation methods and also precision land use planning. So the land use approach and scientific conservation has led to increase in tiger population growth and also the conservation of many wildlife species. If we look at the global level, there was a steady decline in tigers and other wildlife population. But in India, there was a steady increase in wildlife conservation and also the tiger population. So this success is due to the scientific conservation methods. 85% of breeding tigers are living in the protected areas, and many tigers are also coexisting with millions of people in multi-use forest in India. See, tigers have been coexisting with the people in India for many centuries. Even in Indus Valley civilization, tigers have been kept as pets by the people. So there is an important cultural value for tigers in India. So this cultural values, economic factors and scientific conservation methods has led to this drastic increase in tiger population in India. But there are also many challenges like socio-political factors, habitat destruction, land degradation and many other challenges that need to be addressed. So this is what discussed in the news article. Now we are going to discuss some important legal framework for wildlife conservation and also for tiger conservation. The first legislative framework we are going to discuss is the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. It is the most important monumental legislation regarding the wildlife conservation in India. It was enacted in 1973 and it is managed by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And under this Wildlife Protection Act, there were 6 schedules. Originally, there were 6 schedules. And in 2022, there was an amendment made to these schedules and one schedule was removed. So schedule 1 and schedule 2, if animals are kept in this schedule 1 and 2, it means they have highest protection by law. And if the animals are kept in schedule 3 and 4, they have some moderate protection. There will be moderate punishment and fines. But the animals which are kept in schedule 1 and 2 have highest protection. The schedule 5 originally had vermins, which means animals which can be hunted, but the Schedule 5 was removed by 2022 amendment. And the Schedule 6 has protected plants. So important plant species which the government wants to protect, they are kept in Schedule 6. So these are the important schedules of Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Then there are 4 protected areas which are listed under this act. One is National Park, which has no human activity and has highest level of protection. Then wildlife sanctuaries, which has some limited human activity with permission, and this is second to National Park in terms of protection. There are conservation reserves, which means they are buffer areas between the protected areas and the people living areas. Then community reserves, which is managed by local communities. So these are the 4 important protected areas which are listed under Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Then many authorities were created under this act. One important one is National Board for Wildlife, and this is chaired by Prime Minister. Then there is State Board for Wildlife, which is chaired by Chief Minister, and there is also National Tiger Conservation Authority. So these authorities are created under Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. So the important punishments and fines which are given under the schedules are listed here. You can take a look at it. Now coming to the Forest Conservation Act of 1980. So this Forest Conservation Act prevents deforestation and controls the forest land use. So forest land planning is an important aim of this Forest Conservation Act, and this is also managed by Ministry of Environment. This act places many restrictions on forest land use. So if a person is using the forest land and clearing forest for non-forest purposes, then he has to make some other land as a forest. So he has to plant trees in some other land and make it as a forest. So this is a compensatory forest creation, and this is mentioned in this Forest Conservation Act. Later there is also a fund created for this compensatory afforestation. So this fund is called Compensatory Afforestation Fund, and this fund is used to create forest for compensating the forests which are destroyed. And there is a Forest Advisory Committee which was created under this Forest Conservation Act. So this is about the Forest Conservation Act of 1980. Then about the National Tiger Conservation Authority. It is formed under Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, and this is formed in 2006. So this NTCA implements the Project Tiger. It approves a fund for new reserves, it creates a new tiger reserves, and it also conducts a tiger census, publishes the reports of tiger census, and it also helps to prevent poaching and also advises the government regarding the tiger conservation. So the chairperson of this National Tiger Conservation Authority is Ministry of Environment. Now let us have a look at the prelims practice question regarding this topic. Under Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, which schedule provides the highest protection for animals? The correct answer is option A, Schedule 1 and 2. As I said earlier, Schedule 1 and 2 has the highest protection. Schedule 3 and 4 has moderate protection. Schedule 5 has been removed in 2022 amendment. Schedule 6 includes important plant species which are mentioned in the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. So this is about the schedules of this act. With this, let us conclude the discussion and move to the next news article. Now look at this news article. A study has found that microplastic have been present in the groundwater of New Delhi. So this shocking study have revealed that many microplastics are found in the groundwater samples collected from Delhi. So in this context, let us discuss about the microplastics. What are the impacts of microplastic on human and also on environment? So these microplastics are also found in Yamuna river and from the soil sample collected from the Yamuna river banks. Firstly, what are microplastics? See, microplastics are those plastic particles which are less than 5 millimeter. So plastic particles which are from 1 nanometer to 5 millimeter are termed as the microplastic. So how microplastics are produced? Generally, the microplastics are a degradation of larger plastic particles. So the larger plastic will degrade eventually in time and they form the microplastic. Sometimes microplastics are also manufactured in the industries. For example, micro beads which are present in the clothing and cosmetic products. Now looking at the source of microplastic. The important source is a breakdown of larger plastic particles. This is we have seen in the previous slide. So the larger plastic particles breaks down and forms a microplastic which are less than 5 millimeter in size. So breakdown happens during the impact of sunlight, the water waves in ocean. So larger plastic particles will get breakdown in oceans due to the impact of the waves. So this is how the larger plastic particle will get reduced to the microplastic. Personal care products which like cosmetic products also has microbeads which are also the microplastics. Industrial discharges like wastewater also contain microplastic. The textile industry which has synthetic fibers are made using microplastics, and the synthetic clothes also have microplastic, and when they are disposed into the land or water bodies, the microplastics will generally degrade into the groundwater sources. The agricultural runoff will also have microplastic from fertilizer uses. The wastewater runoff from urban sewages also has microplastics which are discharged from the homes. So these are the important sources of microplastic. Now let us see about the impact of microplastic on environment and also on human health. On environment, the microplastic contaminates the water, soil, air, and it also enters the food chain. See, microplastics which are discarded on the land and water bodies, they eventually reach the ocean, and in the ocean they break down into smaller microplastics, and they are consumed through water by fishes, and when we consume the fishes, the microplastics enter into our bodies. So this is how the microplastic enter into the food chain. So this leads to bioaccumulation and also biomagnification, and it impacts the human health. Microplastics also alter the soil fertility, and it can carry toxic chemicals which can reach the groundwater sources, which is recently found in the Yamuna river and also in the groundwater of New Delhi. Next, about the human health impact of microplastic. The ingestion of microplastic through food or through seafood or some chemical products, and also inhalation of microplastic in air impact the health. The health risk like mutation, hormonal disruption, respiratory issues, and also it affects the fetal development. So one important issue of microplastic is bioaccumulation, which means accumulation of toxic products along with the microplastics in our bodies and organs. So this is about the impact of microplastics on environment and on human health. Now what are the regulations of microplastics in India? Firstly, the Plastic Waste Management Amendment Rules of 2021. These rules ban the single-use plastic, because the single-use plastics will degrade easily and they produce more microplastic. So these amendment rules have banned the single-use plastic. It also created Extended Producer Responsibility, that is EPR, which means the manufacturers of plastics and the importers of plastics and the brand owners of the plastic products are responsible for the recycling of the plastic which they create. So manufacturers, once they create the plastic, they are responsible for recycling of the plastic in the environment, which ends up in the environment. So more than consumers and the middlemen, the manufacturers are given responsibility of recycling the plastic which they create. So this is about the Extended Producer Responsibility clause which was mentioned in Plastic Waste Management Amendment Rules. The National Marine Litter Policy, it also monitors and assesses the microplastic pollution. It also develops sustainable waste management strategies for eliminating the microplastic in ocean. With this, let us conclude the discussion and move to the next news article. Now look at this article. The Food and Drug Administration of USA, that is FDA, have approved a non-opioid painkiller called Suzetrigine. So what is important about this non-opioid killer? What is an opioid painkiller? What is a non-opioid painkiller? What is this Suzetrigine? And why is this discovery significant? And what is the drug approval process in India? So this is what we are going to discuss in this news article discussion. Now, as I said in the news article, Suzetrigine, which is a new painkiller, was approved by FDA of USA. FDA is a nodal drug regulating agency of USA. So this FDA has approved a new drug called Suzetrigine. This Suzetrigine is a painkiller. What is more interesting about this painkiller is it is a non-opioid painkiller. Now what is a opioid painkiller and non-opioid painkiller? See, opioid painkiller means the painkillers which uses the common drugs which we know, that is morphine for example. So this is opioid painkiller. For the first time in the world, they have created a non-opioid painkiller, because traditionally we are using the painkillers which are opioid painkiller, which uses drugs like morphine. So when morphine which is used as a painkiller is given to the patients, they feel a numbness and it acts as a painkiller. So this is basically a drug. But now this Suzetrigine is a non-opioid painkiller because it is not a traditional drug. So how this Suzetrigine works? So it works by blocking the pain at nerve endings. But the traditional opioid painkillers like morphine, it binds to opioid receptors in our body and they block the pain and they numb the pain. They create a numbness which reduces the pain. So this is how this opioid painkiller works. The important problem about this opioid painkiller is they are highly addictive and they also have side effects. But this Suzetrigine, which is a non-opioid painkiller, is not addictive and it also has lesser side effects compared to opioid painkillers. So this Suzetrigine is recently approved by the FDA of USA. Now will it be approved in India? What is the approval of a drug in India? What is the approval process for a new drug in India? So this is what we are going to discuss next. In India, we have Central Drug Standard Control Organization, which oversees implementing or approving a new drug. So they approve drugs, medical devices and cosmetics into the market. It functions under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. There is a similar organization called FSSAI and it is related to the food safety. It has no function regarding approval of drugs in market. This FSSAI also functions under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So in USA, the FDA, that is Food and Drug Administration, approves a new drugs. In India, CDSCO, that is Central Drug Standard Controller Organization, approves a new drugs. So CDSCO is a counterpart organization of FDA in India. The FSSAI only related to the food regulation and food safety and not about approving the drugs. So this is an important difference we have to know. Now let us see a new drug approval process in India. The authority which is responsible for approval of drug is Central Drug Standards Control Organization and the head of this organization is Drug Controller General of India. Now look at the stages of drug approval process. First one is preclinical trials. It is conducted on animals for safety and efficacy of drug. Then comes the clinical trials. So this clinical trial includes 3 phases. In the first phase, the safety of the drug is ensured. In the second phase, the effectiveness of the drug is tested. In the third phase, the large scale safety for entire population is tested. So large scale safety is tested in phase 3. After completing all the phases and getting approval for all the 3 phases, then the new drug approval is granted for the drug and this is based on the results of phase 3 data. Even after phase 3 and the drug approval process is completed, even after the drug is given out to the market, there is a post-marketing surveillance which is the phase 4. Even after the drug has entered the market, there will be a surveillance of the efficacy and effectiveness of the drug for the long-term safety monitoring. So these are the 4 phases involved in a drug approval process and these are the stages of drug approval process in India. Sometimes there is also fast track approvals. In previous slide we have seen the stages of drug approval process which includes the preclinical trial, clinical trials and it also includes 4 phases. But sometimes we have fast track approvals. For example, during COVID-19 we have to approve the important vaccines for population. So during the approval of vaccines, the Directorate General, the drug controller will follow the fast track approval. The fast track approval includes the accelerated approval which is based on the limited clinical or trial data and emergency use authorization which is a new class which is used for Covaxin and Covishield vaccines. Sometimes if a drug is approved in US, UK or European Union, the phase 3 trials are eliminated and directly sent to the market. The phase 3 trial which means testing the safety, larger safety for the people. So this is a fast track approvals. Now look at this prelims practice question. Which of the following is a nodal body for drug regulation in India? The correct answer is option B, Central Drug Standard Control Organization. This is headed by Drug Control General of India. With this, let us conclude the discussion and move to the next news article. Now look at this article. It talks about the economic survey of 2025 and the economic survey warns against excessive financialization. So this is because there is a over-reliance on financial markets over the banks and it can destabilize the economy. So the economic survey has highlighted a risk against financial booms and resource misallocation and increased crisis vulnerability. The 2008 financial crisis is cited as an example of dangers for the reckless financial sector growth. So the economic survey of 2024 to 2025 has warned against the excessive financialization which is faced by the country. We should not overly rely on the financial markets which can destabilize the economy. So this is what mentioned in this news article. Let us look about the highlights of important key points mentioned in this article. The financial market should complement the banking sector and should not outspace the banking sector. So this only ensures a sustainable economic growth. For a balanced economic growth, the financial market should complement the banking sector and they should not outperform or outspace the banking sector. The next is risk of over financialization. The excessive financialization can divert the essential resources from the real economy. So this can affect the skilled labor and productivity of the country. So excessive financialization is a threat to the real economy. Next is financing engineering risk. The complex financial products can introduce the hidden risk and this can increase the likelihood of financial crisis. The government must regulate the financial sector growth to prevent unsustainable financial boom in the future. So the example is 2008 financial crisis which happened due to the excessive boom of financial market. So government has to make a caution and have to alert the unsustainable financial booms in the financial sector growth. Now what is a financial market? See, financial market is a marketplace where individuals and institutions can trade the financial securities. They can also trade commodities and other fungible assets. So these markets facilitate a raising of capital, transfer of risk and international trade. So this is a financial market. So the financial market include capital market and money market. So financial market is a broad category which includes all the securities, commodities and other fungible assets. So it also includes a capital market which is a share market and the money market which is a market of government securities, and everything comes under the financial market. So we can divide the financial market into two: the capital market which is a long-term market and a money market which is a short-term market. So now let us look about the capital market. The capital market is a long-term financial market which means it is traded more than 1 year. It also has two types which is primary market and secondary market. The primary market is a new securities which are issued and sold for the first time. So it allows the issuers to raise capital for the first time in the capital market. For example, a company which is introducing initial public offering in the share market. So through initial public offering, a company sells its shares to the public for the first time. So when the company comes to the share market for the first time, it is a primary market. The secondary market means existing securities or shares are traded among the investors. When the share is bought or sold among the investors, among the shareholders, and it goes to many hands. So this happens in the secondary market. So this doesn't involve freshly introduced shares, but shares which are already existing are repeatedly sold and bought. So this happens in the secondary market. The equity market means the stock exchanges like NSE, BSE, National Stock Exchange, Bombay Stock Exchange. So they facilitate the share trading. So this capital market is regulated by SEBI. It also has a debt market which means the bonds issued by the government and corporations for long-term borrowing. So the bond market also comes under this capital market. So all this primary market, the secondary market, the debt market, the equity market are all regulated by SEBI. Next comes the money market. So it is also part of the larger financial market. A money market means it is a short-term finance which is less than 1 year. This market deals with the short-term debt instruments which has a maturity of 1 year or less than 1 year. So they provide liquidity for governments and also for the financial institutions. The important components are treasury bills which is a T-bill. This is a short-term government security for liquidity management. The commercial papers which is a short-term loans issued by the corporations. So this is about the money market. Then we have Forex market, that is foreign exchange market, a global decentralized market where the currencies are traded. This market facilitates international trade and investment by enabling the currency conversion. This Forex market is the largest and most liquid financial market in the world because the currencies are traded between many countries and many international markets are involved here. So the currency trading facilitates the international trade and investment. When the India exports or imports goods from other countries, the currencies are traded between the countries. So all these comes under the Forex market. So this is the largest financial market in the world. And in India, this Forex market is regulated by RBI and not by SEBI. So you have to note this important thing. Now look at this prelims practice question. Which of the following statement about the financial markets in India are correct? Look at the first statement. The money market deals only with the short-term instruments, whereas the capital market deals with the long-term securities. Yes, this statement is correct. Now look at the second statement. SEBI regulates both the stock market and foreign exchange market in India. As we have seen in the discussion, the foreign exchange market in India is regulated by RBI and the stock market is regulated by SEBI. So this statement is incorrect. Look at the third statement. Treasury bills are issued by Reserve Bank of India on behalf of Government of India. Yes, this statement is also correct. So the correct answer is option C, because the first statement and third statement are correct. Second statement is incorrect. So 1 and 3 only. With this, we have come to the end of the discussion. If you like the video, please share it with your friends and don't forget to subscribe to Shankar IAS Academy YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.